Am I the asshole for telling my husband that he's like his brother? For context, I 20F and my husband, 24M, have been together for almost 3 years, recently married and now have a baby. About a year or so ago I found out that while he was on military leave after an argument we had, he took it upon himself to download Tinder and start talking to other women. I guess he thought when he came back he could just sweep it under the rug and I wouldn't find out. He couldn't and I did. I had given him multiple chances to be honest and tell me everything. He said he did and I left it at that. But I always had a feeling there was more he wasn't telling me. Of course, there was. I caught him in a couple lies that eventually lead to him telling me a little bit more, and a little bit more. I kept finding stuff until I stopped and I thought I had found everything. Fast forward to today, I lost my phone, so I was using his while he was asleep. I was looking through his Snapchat for a picture of the three of us and happened to stumble across something else, which led to the downloading of his Snapchat data, where I found out that he was talking to multiple women and cheating before the whole Tinder incident throughout the entirety of our relationship. Obviously mad, I asked him about what I had found and was met immediately with, "It was a mistake, it was dumb. That was so long ago." It escalated pretty quickly from there, as I am sick and tired of being lied to. After dealing with mistake after mistake, I am fed up. I told him that I am taking our daughter and moving into the spare bedroom for the time being, and once I can, I plan on going to my dad's for a while I think some things over. Now, here's where I might be the asshole. I know that his brother and his baby mama are having some issues because of his drug use and he's, as of right now, not allowed to see his son. That being said, during our argument he told me I'm acting like his brother's baby mama. To which, I replied, well, now you can be just like your brother, childless, and that if he wants to compare me to her, then I'll start acting like her. We have not spoken since and I'm being told I'm overreacting and I took it too far. I don't know. Am I the asshole? Edit. I don't think I added enough context and background. I didn't realize there would be so many questions and things misunderstood. To clarify, my intentions are not to rip him away from his daughter and keep her from him out of spite. My initial plan was moving to his home state after he got out. But this changes a lot and might affect whether or not I decide to continue this relationship. Which will affect whether or not I move or stay. If I leave, I do not plan on moving away from our home and alienating, not only myself, but my daughter from the family she has here. As for background on the type of environment and crowd his family has around and our daughter will be subjected to. His house is a trap house and his family still hangs around drugs addicts and all kinds of people. Not to mention the loads of people who do not like them and have threatened to do drive-bys. Now, I could be wrong, but I truly do not believe anyone in this group would agree that that would be the best place for a child. My husband is an amazing father and in no way anything like his brother. I meant in the aspect of by choice not being able to see his daughter, making him childless. But he has no plans of changing his mind on moving. And nor do I once I've decided. What a mess. This is why it's a bad idea to get married and have a baby all by the age of 20. Also not the asshole in this specific occasion, but YTA if you continue to stay in this toxic relationship. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You didn't take anything too far. He has been lying to you for your whole relationship. If you choose to stay, and cheating going forward should be expected. He isn't going to magically stop lying and cheating. By staying, you are telling him what he did isn't that bad, so he will do it again. Go to your dad's and don't come back. I think anything that comes out his mouth should be discarded after that final disclosure. Certainly not the asshole here. Not the asshole. He played stupid games and can now enjoy his stupid prizes that he's won. Am I the asshole for going against husband's wishes and confronting Mill? My husband, M30, and I, F28, have been married for 2 years now. We also have a daughter who is almost 2. My U.S.-Band's parents, only sister and husband, and one niece live in another state. Since we have been married, we have made numerous trips to see them, whether we meet halfway or we just come to them. His parents have visited twice since we've been married. His father no longer works and his mother can work from home. Her office is actually in the state we live in, as they used to live here too. It didn't really bother me until more recently. I posted a while back about a falling out we had with my husband's sister, her husband. The last time we visited, we brought my youngest sister for extra hands. This brother-in-law, husband's sister's husband, came onto my little sister. So we left and will not be returning for a while. We confided in his parents about what happened and they were equally as appalled, but since it's happened everyone wants to pretend like it didn't. Needless to say, there's certainly been some tension. Due to this, they promised to come up by us for Xmas and we would alternate each year. They already bailed on that idea because Mill couldn't get any more days off work. They offered to come for our daughter's B-Day in October instead. Well, now that's not happening either due to some health concerns for both Mill and Phil, which I entirely understand and needs to take priority. That being said, they vacation every 3/4 of a month to Vegas. They always can get time off for that, and sometimes I wish they would take that time to come see us, which I have expressed. Our daughter's B-Day is beginning of October and they have a trip planned for end of October to Vegas. My husband will be joining also. When they officially cancelled their trip for our daughter's B-Day, I assumed they'd also be cancelling their Vegas trip, as they claim they can't take all this time off and their health concerns are keeping them from traveling here. Then my husband shared with me last night they'd be going to Vegas regardless. I was super confused and super hurt. I asked how severe their health concerns were, that they could gamble, drink and smoke but they couldn't spend one weekend with their other grandchild. He said he understood my frustration but to leave it alone. Well, I didn't. I texted Mill to see if there were any updates on their APPTS regarding their health. She said not really, but they were too wiped out to come for our daughter's B-Day. I followed up by asking if that meant Vegas was cancelled too, as it was only a few short weeks after. She said she has to go because it's for work and they would see about Phil. I kindly said how hurt I'd be if they couldn't make it for their granddaughter's B-Day, but they could muster up the strength for Vegas of all places. I explained I understood the health concerns, but I don't see how such serious health issues will vanish in a matter of weeks. She did not take it well and reported back to my husband, making him upset with me too now. "You are the asshole. Your husband told you to leave it alone and you didn't. It's their life, their choices. If they want to go to Vegas instead of your daughter's birthday, that's on them. You went behind your husband's back and made things worse. They're the grandparents, not the parents. It's their loss, not yours. You are the asshole. They are not obliged to visit you and I can see why they might wish to avoid it. I feel sorry that you are hurt and wonder why you are reliant on their visits." Info. Is Mill taking time off to go to Vegas, or does she go to Vegas for work? You've said it both ways, and they are very different things. Leave alone. Maybe they don't want to come for some other reason. Maybe they don't like you. You only making the matter worse. Just go low contact with them. If and when she calls or messages you, just ignore it for a couple of days before responding. Sorry, I was busy with my family. Am I the asshole for telling my friend she and her boyfriend can no longer stay at my apartment while I'm gone? I, 25F, live in NYC with my boyfriend, 27M. A friend from home asked me a few months ago if she and her boyfriend, who I've never met, could stay with me specifically 5 or 6 days sometime at the end of September, early October. They would be in the city for a total of 12 days, but they had somewhere else to stay for half their trip. She was coming because she had a wedding to attend and probably assumed that because I live here we could hang out a couple times, which is fine with me. Months passed since that conversation. 2 weeks ago, I asked what days her trip were and what days she needed to stay with me because I would need to go out of town while she was here. I didn't plan a random vacation for this time, it's something I can't avoid. My boyfriend also won't be in town for his own reasons. When I told her this, she told me she no longer had another place to stay because the friend she was going to stay with lives with 3 other people and a dog who isn't potty trained. She added in how she really can't afford to get an Airbnb because they're both broke. I felt backed into a corner. I have a people-pleasing tendency, so I said she could stay here while I was out and for the remainder of her trip, but to get an Airbnb for 2-3 days so I could prepare the apartment and myself for travel. This is where I messed up. I know how I am. I've never met her boyfriend. My boyfriend has never met either of them. I knew I wasn't comfortable with them being here while I'm out and for so long. It's a minuscule apartment, it's incredibly old, in crappy condition, and having 2 cats doesn't help because it means I'm constantly cleaning to keep it in shape. Still, she was only giving me about a week and a half notice about her situation, which is another reason why I felt backed into a corner. My boyfriend let me know he wasn't comfortable. I messed up here as well by not asking him first. For a week I've been trying to contact her to work this out, but she straight up ignored me until Sunday. Now it's Wednesday night, she's arriving in the city tomorrow, and all she's told me is that she can't afford to stay anywhere. She has an Airbnb for 2 nights and that's it. I feel like it was unfair of her to ask me for so much and to not communicate with me properly. I would still be letting her stay here 4 days when I'm back, but that doesn't seem to matter because I'm not giving her fully what she wants. I believe that if you can't afford to travel for fun, then you shouldn't. I struggle with money and I only travel when I absolutely must to see family or something. I feel like she backed me into a corner with her financial situation and the last-minute timing, but now she doesn't even have the decency to talk and work something out with me. I'd never ask one of my friends to house me and someone who is a stranger to them for such a long time, especially if they won't be home. Am I the asshole? Your friend can ask to stay with you, but shouldn't try to guilt you into it. You should have checked with your boyfriend before offering your apartment, and you should have immediately contacted your friend when you found out you were going to need to travel during their stay. In the end, you don't have to allow your friend to stay in your apartment. It's something you were doing for free as a favor. She planned a very long trip to NYC when she couldn't afford to stay, and she didn't consider that almost nobody in NYC has room for guests. Changing plans at the last minute with no real communication is a dick move on your friend's part. However, inviting people your boyfriend has never met to stay with you for that long without even discussing it is definitely the bigger asshole move. I would be livid if my significant other did that. Not the asshole. If she's refusing to answer your calls, refuse to answer the door. Grow a backbone. You even had a perfect excuse. Also, I can tell from here that your friend is a mooch. She wasn't responding because I bet she doesn't have an Airbnb and is just waiting to tell you until she shows up, so you'll be obligated to house her. Absolutely not the asshole. Your concerns about the unknown boyfriend are very reasonable, as is your reluctance to host people in your apartment in your absence. Just because your friend wants what she wants doesn't mean she's entitled to it or that you're somehow obligated to give it to her. Her communication was lousy and her demands are unreasonable. Am I the asshole for moving out? In 2020, a 22 female made the decision to move in with my brother and his girlfriend, who we'll call Ashley. They had been asking me to move in for a while. At the time, they had been together for just over 2 years and recently had a baby. It seemed chill because we were close. Ashley went the extra mile, even helping me search for jobs in the area. I was flattered and excited to live with them, especially since I'd get to spend time with my new niece. 2 weeks after moving in, I secured a job, and started paying rent. All was good. Ashley insisted that I tell her about my whereabouts whenever I left the house or after work. Although I didn't quite understand why, I agreed, as it was normal for me to do when I lived with my parents. Over time, I found myself taking on more than I had signed up for. I was feeding and bathing my niece regularly. In fact, she even slept in my room because I knew that Ashley and my brother wouldn't respond to her cries during the night. I was always the one getting her ready and preparing her for outings, only for Ashley to occasionally decide that she wanted to carry her from the car. It got to the point where I had to take days off work to care for my niece because Ashley and my brother claimed their jobs were more important than mine. As time went on, my niece started calling me Mum, despite my attempts to correct her. Ashley hated it. During this time, I began spending more time at my friend Mariah's house, finding peace and solace there. I decided I was going to move in with Mariah and her family as they treated me like their own. Financially, my brother and his girlfriend were doing fine, so I figure moving wouldn't pose any problems for them. I called my brother after work to tell him about it and he said he was happy for me. That same day, I went to the city with friends, taking a ferry to explore a food spot. The ferry was loud so I missed Ashley's messages and calls on my phone. When I finally checked my phone, I found angry messages from her, demanding to know where I was and why I didn't tell her earlier. I was over her controlling behavior. I confronted her about it, which led to an argument where I finally told her I was moving out. Her response was a bitter, "Is that how you tell me after all I've done for you?" My simple answer was, yes. I returned to Mariah's house, thinking that would be the end of it. However, hours later, I received a call from my brother. He was yelling at me and telling me that he was kicking me out and throwing my stuff out. I was shocked and asked him what Ashley had told him. He just said I was being a disrespectful He accused me of being disrespectful and sided with her. I called my dad to pick my stuff up as I had no way to get there at that time. My dad found all my stuff in trash bags in the driveway. This is just a glimpse of the situation. There's more after this, but am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your alarm should have gone off when they were so excited for you to live with them, as new parents. Ignore the hate and have a blissful stay at Mariah's. Not the asshole, of course. Your situation became untenable and you were taking care of your niece, which wasn't your job. The weird controlling thing about always needing to know where you are is just flat out bizarre. I hope the situation with Mariah works out. When your brother finally gets around to divorcing Ashley, hopefully you can rekindle a relationship with him. Of course, not the asshole. In fact, you seem the model of meekness, restraint and light in my opinion. Ashley, you are not my parent. I am an adult with agency and I never volunteered to be a live-in nanny. Get a hold of yourself and then get over the nonsense. About my stuff being in trash bags? Yeah, I'd storm the castle on that one. Just open the door with your key and have the discussion about behaviors face to face. Your sill needs a reality check. Your brother is out of his mind. And I'm glad you're moving because they need an employee they pay a premium to live in their home, not a family member who has her own life to live. In Ta, you were being used as free childcare and then kicked to the curb when you set up boundaries. It says a lot about her for lying to your brother and painting you as a bad guy, but even more for your brother to immediately side with her without assessing the situation in any way. Really shitty you had to deal with that. Not the asshole. I have no doubt they wanted you to move in with them. Free nanny.